Welcome to the Danbury Democrats. My name is John Gogliettino. I'm your host. We're going to have an interesting program tonight. We're going to be talking to a zoning candidate and two of our Board of Education, actually two of our Board of Education members that are running for re-election. So one of them is Ryan Hawley at the end there. He's running for zoning. And then there's Kate Conetta. She's running for re-election for Board of Education. And then there's Gladys Cooper, who's running for Board of Education again after only 28 years on the board. So welcome to the show.
Thank you, John.
Okay,
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, John.
I don't think I can reach. Okay, good. So we'll just say aye. So like I do with all other people that come on my shows, tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been in Danbury, a little bit about your family, educational background, and we'll go from there right on down.
My name is Gladys Cooper, and I was born and raised in North Carolina. I completed high school in North Carolina. I came to Danbury in 1970. I have a 36-year-old son. I have two beautiful grandchildren, and I have been on the Board of Ed for 28 years. And
you've done a lot of good work.
And I have served under 5 superintendents, and I met quite a few interesting people, quite a few within that 28 years term. But besides, Danbury is a beautiful place. Danbury is a beautiful place to raise a family and to just relax from this terrible going. But other than that, I've just always been interested in education because I didn't have the opportunity to go to college, and my parents could not afford to send me to college. They were sharecroppers. And when I left home in 1966, I went and I lived in New Jersey for 4 years. And then I had a friend that lived in Danbury, and she says, well, why don't you come to Connecticut? Newark was a very fast place, and I was a slow person. So I said, okay, let me check out Danbury. And when I got here, I said, oh my God, I can't stay in this place. And I got here, I think, on a Wednesday. I got a job that Friday, and I've been here ever since 1970. And I just love it here.
Oh, very good. Kate?
My name is Kate Conetta. I grew up in Bethel, Connecticut, which is right next door, obviously, and I went to Hebrew school actually in Danbury, so I've been in and out of Danbury my whole life. And I moved here with my wife. We bought a house about 8 years ago, and our son is going to be a senior this year at Abbott Tech. And I ran for Board of Education, actually stepped up to fill a vacancy that was there as a result of someone else who had to leave. That was Kathy Molinaro. And I'd been attending these meetings for 2 years, just trying to figure out what was going on with the education system. That's something that I was raised to be very passionate about. That's something that my family really values. And it just felt to me like there were things happening there that weren't really being handled, and I was getting more and more interested as these meetings were going by, and I thought, let me step up and see if I can help with some of the work that the board has to do. It's a lot to carry. So that's kind of what brought me here.
Very good. Ryan?
Yeah. So I'm Ryan Hawley. I am 23 years old. I was born and raised in this wonderful city of Danbury. My parents are John and Tina Hawley. My father is a public works bike professional. He's been in and out of different public works jobs for the majority of his life. And my mom, she is a lifelong Danbury nurse. She's been on the same floor for 30 years. I don't know how she does that. But she's also the vice president of membership for her union. And the actual new name of the hospital, just fun fact, is New Vance Health. So she represents all the nurses within New Vance Health. And both of them, they just give back to the community as much as I could, and definitely inspired me.
So you decided you need to give back too.
Yep, exactly.
As you're moving along in your career.
Yep, exactly, yeah.
Very good.
Yep.
Okay, let's, starting with the Board of Education, then we'll go to zoning for a while. Enrollment is one of the issues that, before we started, we talked about. Do you know the enrollment, or how much the enrollment is off. In other words, we've got X number of people and we need to have classroom sizes above 24. Do you know what it should be? I mean, what it is now and what it should be?
Sure. I mean, that varies from school to school as far as what the student.
But is it
contribution
higher
but
than 24, 25?
There are
Some schools,
there are
yeah,
some
some
classrooms
schools
where it
like
is.
that.
Yeah. I think the biggest change that we've seen is in the last 15 years that the total enrollment for the city school population has gone up by 2,000 students, and that's a huge amount of kids. We went from just over 9,000 to over 11,000 now, and that's a much different administration for a lot of different services that we provide for kids. Unfortunately, at the same time that the enrollment's been going up, we haven't seen financial support increase at the same proportion.
Yeah.
They've been holding the figures that what they support the school at this relatively the same level.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of money that's been given to the schools has gone up, but not proportionate to the number of students that are being enrolled. And I think that that's kind of an issue when you think about how your cost of living as an individual goes up from year to year. The same is true for running the school district. So services like trash removal or food services, different services that the school community needs, the cost of those goes up every year as well. So you're covering those costs, and you're also covering the costs for contracts that go up as well. When you work a job and you get a cost of living increase every year, that has to be factored in for this somewhat like 1,000, I think, employees that we have on staff. So the amount of money that the schools are receiving has gone up, but it's not keeping pace with the growth of the population, and it's really not even keeping pace with the cost of doing business, running a school.
Okay, so enrollment is up, and who is responsible? You would think as a former teacher that the mayor would listen to you, but I guess the way it works, especially Gladys, you've been around for a while. You go to the Common Council, but the mayor proposes the budget.
Right.
Yeah, about April 1 or so. It used to be about April 1 back in my day. The mayor would propose a budget and give it to the Common Council.
You're right.
And then there would be a council committee formed, and the Board of Education or the representatives would go to that committee and
we meet and we talk and we go over the entire budget, and it's just certain things that they said that they don't understand about our system and how we are, the financial part is, and we try to explain it. And I think this year and the year past, we've had 2 meetings with the Education Committee, and it seemed hopeful at the time that we meet with them, but then when the overall budget comes and the mayor says, well, okay, we're getting the Board of Ed, what is 2.5? 2.5 or 7, 2.7, one of those numbers, and we're asking for 4 I think it was 7.
We asked for 7.
7, yeah. And so, it's going to cut whatever thing that we're doing.
1/3 of what
we're asking for. And there's things that's in place that we can't change. And the board has said to the superintendent, no matter what happened, the cuts, we want to keep teachers in the classroom. So, in doing that, we also have to negotiate with those teachers. Okay, teachers' contract, everybody's contract that works for the system. So when it comes back, now we know what the final budget is. So now we're going to have to sit down, the finance director and the finance committee is going to we'll have to sit down with the superintendent and the group and sort of look at what is that we have to get by with this year.
Let me ask about the way things were years ago versus now. How many people were in these meetings with the Common Council members, the ad hoc committee? Were there 3 people? Were there 5 people there?
No, I think it was about 5.
About 5 people were there.
The committee.
Yeah, the Common Council has 21 people, and you're saying 5 people were at the meeting.
Yeah, I'm
that were
trying to
council
think
people.
it was 5,
Okay.
about 5 members. I might be off for one or two.
Yeah.
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 But the entire committee
Now,
came.
did they have a public hearing on this budget?
Yes, they had a public hearing on the budget.
Okay.
And, the teachers came out, thank God for our supportive teachers. They came out and spoke on behalf of the budget. Because our teachers are also being faced with the dilemma. We getting things from the state that they have to do. They learn how to do one, then the next thing the state come up with another. I can't think of the word I want to use right now. Mandates that we have to do. And they get trained to do that, and then it's something, it's not like, give them time to figure out what they're doing, work with the students, work with the administration, learn what they're supposed to do, help these kids, and then move on. But it doesn't work that way, So I just think it's...
So they had a public hearing.
They had a public hearing.
A number of teachers came and spoke. How many people did you say came out and spoke?
Gosh.
About 20, 30?
25 or 30 or more.
Or more.
We had the
support.
support.
And they all said this. These 21 council. There's 21 council people there, or maybe there's one missing, but they listened to this. And then what was the vote? Do you recall?
I think it was 14-5 or 14.
14.
Yeah, all the Republicans voted
against.
No. Yeah. And they sided with
they voted for the mayor's proposal,
right,
which was to give you 2.5.
Right, and then we had 3 other members. We had the Democrats on the town committee.
On the city council.
They tried to push 1.8 million through, but that failed too because they didn't have the votes. They were trying to give us more money to do some educational things with, but that failed too.
Especially with the mandates.
Right.
You don't have the same money. You actually got less.
And not only that, the population keeps growing, and the children keep coming in. And we talk about enrollment. Okay, the enrollment is not going to get any better. Okay, we keep put portables. We have to think besides portable. We don't have the space anymore to start looking at where we're going to put these portables at. And I don't know how it's going to get done.
So instead of additional classrooms in a building,
they're
doing the portables classrooms.
Right. Because our classrooms are full.
In the middle of the parking lot.
Right.
Okay.
Not in the middle of the parking lot.
Well,
we have it over at Shelter Rock. They're beautiful. They have them over
in the parking lot.
Yeah.
It may not be the middle of the parking lot, but they're in the parking lot.
And we have them over at the Magnet School.
That might be a zoning issue. Yeah. You don't have enough room for parking.
I think West Side also.
West Side, West Side.
Yes. Okay. So,
and just one thing, John. The enrollment issue, which has been going on for the last 15 years at this big number, we just had an enrollment study done in the winter, and they're estimating about another 700 kids coming up into the system in the next 10 years. So you're talking about an entire elementary school worth of children that we have to find space for.
The condominiums that are being built, even if they don't have a lot of kids, they all add up.
Absolutely.
I can see where that 700 are coming from.
Absolutely.
And then there was 2 other major issues, aside from the fact we need more buildings for people to be in, and that is, we were talking before we started, that you really need more faculty.
Yeah.
Because if you're above 24, maybe not in all the schools, but there's many of them that are 28 and 30, the kids lose it. And not only that, but the teachers don't have the capability of stretching out to 30 when they're geared to, their teaching is geared for 24 or less students. They can't spend the time with all those kids.
Right.
So we need that, and then we need there's a lot of kids, record number of kids with all the stuff that's going on in the environment, right?
Yep.
They need a little bit of counseling, especially when there's a shooting somewhere, because they don't know if they're going to be next. They're afraid. They hear this stuff about that these shooters are targeting brown,
absolutely.
kids.
Those support services are really critical. Especially when you look at kids who are in the middle school and the high school age groups, There are a lot of transitions that take place even if you have no problems in your life, and that can be a very unsettling time for a lot of kids. And you couple that with everything that's kind of going on in the world and the pressures that they feel. It's very hard to go into the classroom and be in a place to learn unless those emotional needs are being met. And that's something that we keep hearing time and time again. We have had several incidents in the last year where kids were suffering with a mental health issue. We had a counselor that came into one of our Board of Ed meetings and spoke. He's over at one of the middle schools. He has a caseload of 325 kids. One counselor.
Wow, one counselor.
And he's the counselor, so he's not even really the person who's supposed to be handling all of the mental health pieces of this.
Maybe at best 35 to 50 for one counselor.
I mean,
and that's not
the
doing a
number's
full
higher
job.
than that. The number's higher than that for a counselor, but it's significantly lower than the 325 that he has, and they're going to be adding more children to that school building. So his caseload's going to go up from there. I mean, we're not doing the right thing by our kids.
Right.
You know?
But I mean, there is a difference between somebody that's got a doctorate in psychology and there's someone that's really traumatized, like what they saw on TV or whatever the case may be. It's not the same as having a counselor.
Right.
A counselor is from day-to-day issues, like maybe there's a little peer pressure. So that's what I mean,
Yeah.
That maybe you can handle 50, but more
Right.
than that, they're not simple issues that are happening to people and kids when they're worried about getting shot or being
Definitely
blown up
not.
or something, All right. So let's go over to zoning for a while, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit about Board of Education again. So you've been campaigning a lot, right? Going door to door, left and right, all over the city, because you're, and you're running for a full zoning seat.
Yep, I am.
What are your major issues, would you say? Is it the traffic? Is it the speeding that's going on and you're trying to figure out how to control that better? Some people say it's the illegal signs because there doesn't seem to be a lot of enforcement, so maybe we need a little bit of kick from the Zoning Commission to the enforcement officers. Say, if you're not supposed to be doing something on this location, don't have a sign saying that it's okay to do something like that in that area, and there's all kinds of little signs. You see them on the road, the little signs that say, that we're doing whatever we're doing here, and you're not supposed to be doing it there or in that neighborhood. So what do you think? Is there any one of those or all the above?
Well, I believe all those issues right there are definitely important issues to be focused on and hopefully fix some of them. I believe the biggest issue from my perspective is traffic. So sometimes when I'm traveling from the northern side of Danbury, living on the New Fairfield border, like on a Thursday at like 5:30, sometimes it takes me 25 minutes to get through Mill Plain, especially if I'm heading towards the mall area, and that is absolutely ridiculous. It should not take me 25 minutes to get across town when it can take me 25 minutes to get to Waterbury. That is, I don't know, I do not like that at all.
We need a study is what some people have said, right?
Yep, definitely. That's what our wonderful mayoral candidate, Chris Tiro, wants to do. One of his first 100 days of office is to put in a traffic study like that. And I believe those traffic issues are a result from poor zoning ordinances and things that the Zoning Commission was doing at that time.
You build up certain neighborhoods and then you don't do anything about like Mill Plain Road. You got a restaurant on every plot of land all the way down. I don't know how many there are, but sometimes it feels like there's 25, and they're probably close to that.
Yep, they're all wonderful restaurants. But
yes, they're all wonderful people, wonderful restaurants, but maybe it's a little crowded and it does form congestion, and it's tough to get out of some of those places. I know, I've been there.
Yep. It just seems like this administration's perspective was not really focusing on sustainability of that area.
Right.
They overdeveloped it, and it's causing a lot of these issues many years down the road. And these issues are just going to continue getting worse as Danbury is growing.
Right.
Yeah. So traffic, number one issue I want to focus on.
Okay, traffic and then there's speeding, because if people fall behind and be in a certain area, then they're taking side roads where there's all these school kids are coming and going to school or just playing out in their neighborhoods, and there's people taking side roads and going 40 miles an hour at 20 mile an hour zone area or whatever, right?
Yeah, and that's not safe at all for anybody.
No,
Yeah.
no, it's not, and it doesn't give the citizens that are out there peace of mind, right?
Exactly. They're beautiful
Okay.
neighborhoods. They do not deserve these cars flying through and endangering these people. So that'd be another issue definitely to look at. That's all part of the issue of traffic. But yeah.
Right. So you're knocking on doors, and you're going
Yep.
for a regular spot, and you're going to be on TV now. So hopefully more people get to know who you are.
Yep.
And okay, any other issues or any other thing you want to mention at this point in time? How about mentioning your telephone and your email?
Sure.
At this point.
Yeah, sounds good. So my number is 203-731-7375. That's my cell. Feel free to text me or call me if you have any issues or comments, anything you want.
Could you repeat that for the slower people?
Sure. Sorry, I talk very fast. 203-731-7375. And you can also reach me on email, which is my last name, HAWLEY023 @outlook.com.
All right, I'm going to repeat it again.
And-
Okay, thanks. The email.
The email? Yep, so it's my last name, Hawley, HAWLEY023 @outlook.com. And one thing I do want to say is also I want to bring a fresh voice to the Zoning Commission. I'm 23 years old, and growing up in Danbury, the number one thing I heard week to week was, wow, there's nothing to do here. And all my friends and stuff, they all moved out. They're in these huge cities in Seattle, out west. Why can't we focus on being sustainable and keep the people here? They're the future of Danbury. We need to keep them here. So let's represent them. That's one
Okay.
thing I really want to bring forward.
Very good.
Thank you.
Okay. Same thing. Your telephone number and email, we'll get it in here, and then we have some closing thoughts or whatever. We still got like 4 minutes or something, so.
My cell phone number is 203-313-3002, and my email is my first name dot last name @gmail.com. So that's Kate, Kate, dot Conetta, CONETTA @gmail.com.
Okay, Gladys.
Gladys Cooper, 203-417-8860. My email is Danbury, it's COOPEG @danbury.k12.ct.us.
Okay, can you repeat that one more time? Because I didn't get it.
COOPEG @danbury.k12.ct.us.
Very good. Okay. And as we were talking about, we have some other issues you wanted to talk about, which is after we handle getting additional faculty and professionals in the school, we also need, instead of these parking lot schoolrooms, we got exactly 4. My guy's telling me it's 4 minutes. Okay, I wasn't that far off. We need another elementary school. Is that right? We were talking before we started. Yeah, okay.
At least.
Another elementary school,
But
and
not only that, we need parents. When we have the public hearing, our teachers come out and support us. We have other people, board members there. We need our parents to start coming out and voice their opinion. And I know a lot of people have other things that they would like to do at night, but if they will come out and support the superintendent budget when they put it forth. Okay, and I would like for everybody to know, I served on the board 28 years. There's no pay to this job. And some people think that we actually get paid. There's no pay.
There's no payment to common council people. It's our city. See, that's how long ago that was. It's been the city council for 10 years, but there's never been pay for people being on the council, and there's never been pay for board education. And I think that at times the council spends more time, but I think the Board of Education people actually work longer at it. You're more diligent about it, and there's more enthusiasm in what you're doing because you're doing it for kids.
Right.
You
You're
know,
right,
and
son.
it's too easy to just say, well, we don't have the money because the mayor says that's all he wants is money because he doesn't want that coming out of the city savings account. And there is an account there for emergency purposes, and they need it for bonding. You have to have this fund balance is what they call it, but when you're asking for a number close to 7 and he's giving you something predetermined at 2.5, I mean, you know, he had 14 people, his existing team, that decided, no, we're not going to give you more because he decided before the thing all even started that that's all he was going to do.
I think one of the misconceptions that I hear is that people feel like the money is not being used wisely by the administration of the schools, and the Board of Ed is not really overseeing the use of that money. I just want to be clear, we're 169 out of 169 as far as per pupil spending. This is not about fiscal responsibility here on the part of the Board of Ed or on the part of the school administration. This is about, you know, the state not taking ownership for funding us properly, and this is also about the city diminishing our funding as well. So, you know, there's...
And it affects real estate, too, because the real
Absolutely.
estate price is going to go down if people that are contemplating coming to Danbury.
The first thing they look at is, what are the schools, what's the school system like? How, you know, I want to raise a family, you know...
And they hear that this is where it's at, they're more likely to say, I'm not going there, and then the prices tend to go lower.
And so there's the short-term piece of that, but there's also the long-term piece, John, which is that, you know, this is an investment in the future of the Danbury community.
Right.
This is about raising the next generation of leadership. It's about raising the next generation of the workforce and bringing in business to Danbury and keeping it vibrant.
Very good. All right, so we're almost there. Any closings? 30 seconds. Any closing statement?
I love Danbury. Danbury is a beautiful place. I love our educational system. We have wonderful people, dedicated people. And I would just hope that the community will come out and back us when we have these budget hearings.
All right, thank you. They're waving goodbye, so thank you for coming on the show.
Thank
and I
you,
want to
John.
thank the viewers for tuning in to the Danbury Democrats, and we'll see you next week, same time, same station.